All right, welcome to the 8th edition of Game Dev Insiders. I'm Justin, and I'm here with Santiago and Barak. Barak is the developer of a game called Good Heavens that uses Behavior Designer, and I'll let him kind of go with the introduction and introduce yourself. So Barak, welcome to the show. What's your position? What's your company? What are you doing? What game are you working? The whole shebang.
Hey everyone, I'm Burak. I'm the founder of Nowhere Studios. I've been around in the game industry since 2011. We're currently working on our third game, third large game, I would say. And actually, this is the biggest one, and it's kind of becoming true with the help of behavior designer. So I'm grateful to Justin here. So thank you for inviting me here.
Well, thank you for coming onto the show. So can you give us a little intro of what Good Heavens is and what's it all about? For anybody who's watching, the link is in the description of the video, but go ahead. What is Good Heavens about?
Sure. Good Heaven is an open world survival craft RPG, I would say. I'm adding this RPG at the end because this what differentiates Good Heaven from other open world survival crafts games. We have some kind of a narrative aspect to the game. We have different factions, cultures that we can encounter in the world. We help build their cities, and we also we encounter some. We come across to some random encounters throughout the game. Other than gathering resources, building your base, improving your gear, etc., we are also working on the narrative side of the game.
Okay.
In Good Heavens, yeah.
So you guys, I mean, this just sounds like a large project by your description. You guys have some experience with games. You said it was your third project. So what of your other?
This is our third large project, I would say. We started with a puzzle platforming game in 2011.
Okay.
Monochroma. We made a nice Kickstarter project. That was how we bootstrapped our company.
Oh, really? Okay.
Like almost 13 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And later on, we tried making some cinematic adventure games like Telltale, but they never came to life. And around in 2018, we switched to more system-based games. We made our first RPG game, but it was more simpler than what we're doing right now. It didn't have any behaviors, it didn't have any combat, it didn't have any procedural generation, it didn't have any multiplayer. So it was our way of starting to RPG mechanics like crafting, building, quest systems, etc. We made a life simulation game called Circadian City.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that game is still in early access, as kind of our publisher is out of business right now, and we don't have any revenues from the game. It's kind of in a limbo, right? We don't know what we're going to do with that game. Probably we will try to finish the game one day, but we're focused on our new game, Good Heavens, for the time.
Okay. So let's talk about Good Heavens a little bit more. First off, I've noticed that you've gotten a decent amount of press for Good Heavens. Was that just from your history of your previous projects? Is that kind of how it came up? Just for somebody who is also kind of wondering how did you get on IGN?
Well, okay, it was with the help of our initial publisher that isn't around anymore, unfortunately. It was 2021 was an interesting year for games. Right after COVID started, investors and publishers were really excited about game industry. It was like kind of booming. Everyone was trying to shut up and take my money mode. So we came up with the idea of Good Heavens, and very big publishers were interested with the idea, even with a pitch deck.
Oh, really?
Some of them wanted to see some kind of a prototype, and the publisher we agreed to work with just signed the game even without seeing much of a prototype. I mean, they were really excited about the game, so we started working with them. Later on, like 2023 was a rough year for both developers and publishers and even investors. I mean, they couldn't, they weren't able to raise much money 2 years after COVID because I mean expectations didn't come true. I think some like meaningless projects sucked up too much of these money around, like Web3 crypto gaming projects. So some publishers became, I mean, even closed their studios, closed their companies. Some developers shut down, and our publisher decided to stop working with us, including, I mean, they also removed some of their own workers, etc., and then they relabeled their publisher later on. So right now we have 100% ownership of the game. We started with the help of them. They gave us a good, nice kickstart, and I mean they gave us some press at the beginning of the project. But right now we're going on our own.
I mean that could actually work to your advantage in some way.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it was a little bit rough when they decided to move out because I mean our burn rate was really high back then, so we had to remove some of our important stuff back then. But right now, I mean, we're cool.
Yeah, right. It was funny that you mentioned 2001, 2002. That was a good year for being on the asset store as well. No years have matched that year yet. So yeah. I completely understand what you're saying.
Yeah, might be. Yeah, I don't know the asset store parts of it, but yeah, for developers and publishers, it was like a very good year, and then followed by some terrible years.
Yeah. So back on Good Heavens, what are you using Behavior Designer for?
Okay. First of all, we have different biomes in the game. So each biome have basically 3 type of creatures: animals, monsters, and predators. Like, I mean, we're classifying animals like herbivores and carnivores. So all these 3 type of creatures have distinct behaviors. We wanted to, we didn't want to repeat any behavior throughout the game.
Okay.
So some of them are trying to follow you for a while. Some of them are waiting for you to attack them. Some of them are range attacking you first, then running after you for a while, and then trying to kite you. They all have these different behaviors. So the player is trying to learn these creatures' patterns and come up with a strategy that is suitable for this creature's pattern. So you're trying to hunt those animals down and fight with these monsters. But it takes a little time to learn those patterns. So once you learn those patterns, it becomes easier.
Right. So I don't mean to put you on the spot, but are you able to kind of show in Good Heavens kind of some of this behavior functionality outside of the behavior tree? I know we have an active screen share set up, and I can switch to you if you do have something easily available, just to kind of give more of a visual on what you're referring to. If you don't have,
I mean, I have
okay, you do have it.
I have some test screens here. I can show you some of these interesting. Let me show, for example, one of these elite trolls we have in the game, for example.
Okay, we're sharing your screen now, so everyone can see.
Sure. So this little guy here is armoring up itself and then trying to orbit the player for a while before charging the player.
Okay.
For example, against this guy, we're waiting for him to we're waiting for him to charge first, and then we wait for it to lose his armor before attacking.
Okay.
But wait, I have a problem. Let me start.
Yeah, that always happens.
Should work now. Give myself some kind of a club. Okay. Armored up. No.
Okay.
And he's charging like this.
Okay.
And right now he's vulnerable. He's orbiting me now. And now I can.
Okay. Can you?
No, I'm up.
Yeah. Can you show the behavior tree for that agent?
Sure. Let me show it here. It's quite complex.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay.
Some of these are generic behaviors for all monsters. But some part of it is specific for this monster. For example, I have some behaviors related to receiving damage. All monsters and animals are doing the same. They're checking if they received any damage for the last 5 seconds. So if they didn't receive any damage, they might stop following you or do some other stuff. If they receive some kind of damage, it forces them to go to the get hit sequence over here, and that might be followed up. If the damage is big enough, it might be followed up with a stagger animation sometimes.
Okay.
Or maybe a stun animation. If we're applying a static effect like this.
Right.
So this type of behaviors are generic for all monsters. For example, this is a death sequence. Right at the left. But this one over here is specific to this monster. This is what makes it special. Here this is the end. The end of its chargeability. It starts chargeability like a little bit more prioritized way, and then without going to anything else. If it starts charging, it ends the charging. If it starts attacking, it ends attacking. And then there's the orbit behavior somewhere around here. It should be. Yeah. This is the orbit behavior. This is another.
Oh wow. Okay.
So yeah, kind of like there are some disabled trees that I'm using anymore.
So I'm guessing you guys are making use of the external behavior trees then.
Yes, we're using lots of reference behavior. So I'm saving some of these. For example, this should be a reference behavior. This looks like this, and I can use the same reference behavior in many different monsters.
Right. So how do you? So there's how many different types of monsters do you have?
I don't know the exact number. Currently for two different biomes, we have around 20 total creatures, I would say.
Okay.
Animals and monsters. And we're also adding new monsters and animals to existing biomes. And we're also adding new biomes as well. So at the end, probably in the start of early access, we will have something like 60 or 80 maybe.
Okay, and they all have kind of a unique behavior.
Yeah, that's what I'm aiming for.
Yeah. Okay. Within each kind of monster set, are like if you have two of the same type of monster, do they have slightly different values to give them a slightly different behavior, or are they the exact same?
Yeah, I have some variants, prefab variant for some of these monsters.
Okay.
For example, we have some mini games in the game. There's a town defense mini game, for example. We have some NPC towns in the game, and some of these monsters are attacking to the town center.
Right.
Normally, I mean, monsters are not prioritizing nearby structures the player is nearby. This type of variants, if they're not receiving any attack from the player for the last couple of seconds, they turn down and start attacking the structures around them.
Oh, okay.
I have small variants like that.
Yeah, so for those variants, you're specifying them by, it looks like you use a bunch of override variables on the behavior tree component to then override.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. I mean that. Are you using? Well, you're using scriptable objects then to kind of define some of the properties for each monster? I see some in your project right now, or is like what's the database? Like I know you have crafting, you have a bunch of stuff. How are you managing all that?
Yeah, they're different areas. I would say. For example, here there's some public variables on top of the behavior tree. These are coming from the blackboard of the behavior designer. But we also have scriptable objects for NPC or monster data, like entity data and damage data as well. So we're pulling them, if it's necessary for the behavior of the creature. We have some tests that are pulling them inside the behavior tree. So, for example, I can show you a couple of things like this. This is pretty standard for almost all creatures in the game. We have this little task over here, resource get current. And this thing is, for example, updating the health of the creature from its data on every tick, and stamina and hunger, for example.
Right. So are you using property mapping at all with any of these, or are you familiar with that?
I'm not familiar with property mapping as far as I know.
I mean, some of this it may help some of your it may improve upon some of your workflow. I mean, it's by no means a necessity, but what it does is it allows you to kind of take a variable from a script. Or a variable value from a script or a component in the behavior tree itself, rather than you having to kind of hard code it on the very high level. It's just a nice. It uses properties, the C# properties, in order to do it. There's a getter and a setter, and you can just basically kind of link the two. It's by no means required, and if you have a good workflow, I would say continue with that workflow. But
I think I tried at the beginning of the project. It's been almost 3 years. We started working on this project, and before that, I made another behavior design. Actually, there was a friend of mine who were more familiar with behavior design, who actually made me start using it. So we were making auto battler game using behavior designer again, but that project is no more right now. At the start of Good Heavens, I started exploring behavior designer myself. I think I've seen that stuff you're mentioning right now. But later on, we developed our own workflow, and I'm not property mapping for the last 2 years probably.
Right. Oh yeah. If you have your own workflow, there's no reason to use it, and if it's working well, just another tool that you can potentially use. So this was a good segment to this, but you mentioned your friend kind of got you started with behavior designer. For somebody who is just getting started with behavior designer, what advice do you have?
What advice do I
What
have?
advice do I have?
I think, I mean,
I think, I mean,
it needs a little bit of
it needs a little bit
exploring.
of exploring.
It has a
It
learning
has a
curve
learning curve
uh, of,
uh,
I would say,
of, I
between
would say,
3 months to
between
six
3 months
months.
to 6 months. Okay.
I mean, if you're, I mean,
If you're,
unfamiliar
I mean,
with
unfamiliar
behavior
with
trees or
behavior trees or
state machines
state
overall, I would say. I
machines
mean,
overall, I would say. I mean,
I will, I wasn't familiar
I
with
wasn't
those
familiar with
things
those
neither
things
when I
neither
started
when
working
I
on
started
behavior
working
designer.
on behavior
So
designer.
it took me
So
around
it took me around
6 months to
6 months
be
to be
familiar with
familiar with
things I can do,
things I can
and I
do,
mean,
and I mean,
it opened the
it opened the
whole world of
whole world of
possibilities for me as a
possibilities for me
designer.
as
I
a
would say. I mean,
designer. I would say. I mean,
some programmers
some
aren't really
programmers
happy
aren't really happy
with
with
the fact I'm
the
using
fact
behavior
I'm
design
using
because
behavior
they
design
can
because
see everything
they can see everything
within the code.
within the code.
But as a designer,
But
it's
as a
a
designer, it's
magnificent
a
tool, I would say.
magnificent tool, I would say. Right. Yeah. So are you guys creating your custom tasks? Like your programmers, are they creating custom tasks or are you just kind of using everything built in?
Of course, I started
Of course, I
using
started
the
using
building
the building
tasks,
tasks,
lately we're
lately
doing
we're
more
doing
custom
more
tasks
custom
than
tasks
that we're using the
we're
existing
using
one.
the existing one. Actually,
When we're starting
when
a
we're
new
starting a
type of
new
monsters,
type
I'm
of
trying
monsters,
to
I'm trying to
think of a
think of a
new behavior,
new behavior,
unique stuff for that
unique stuff
creature,
for that
and
creature, and
that usually
that
requires
usually
some
requires some
new tasks.
new
Or maybe
tasks.
sometimes,
Or
I mean,
maybe sometimes, I mean,
combining these tasks
combining these
together
tasks
in
together
a
in a
simplistic
simplistic
way. So,
way. Right, right. Yeah, no, I think that's where the true power comes is when you create your own tasks specific for your project.
yeah, I'm not writing
Yeah,
them.
I'm not writing them.
I'm
Yeah.
usually
I'm
sending them to the
usually sending
programming
them to the
team,
programming
and
team. Even better.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So this doesn't have to be AI related, but what is one of the toughest development challenges that you guys have had on Good Heavens?
On good heavens.
On good
Okay,
heavens. Okay,
current
probably the current development
of multiplayer is
multiplayer
quite a
is
challenge for
quite
us,
a
as
challenge for
we
us.
haven't
Is we
developed
haven't
a
developed
multiplayer
a
project before,
multiplayer project
and
before,
we're trying to
and we're
implement
trying to implement
multiplayer after the
multiplayer
second half
after
of
the
the
second
project.
half
So
of the
we're
project. So we're
kind of changing everything
everything
in the game
in
right
the
now.
game
That's
right now.
kind of a
That's
challenge.
kind of
The
a
other
challenge.
challenge
The other challenge
was probably making a proper uh, procedural world generation.
Okay. Okay. So first for multiplayer, what multiplayer source are you using or implementation are you using?
Currently, we're working on mirror
Mirror. Okay.
infrastructure.
Okay.
But yeah, I can't really tell you what's
Yeah.
taking longer because I'm not programmer. But
Right.
I'm just following the developments, and for example, the integration of the world generation and the save data with multiplayer takes a lot of time. And also, I know that there will be some challenges with me included when we have multiplayer to some level, because a lot of targeting in behavior designer right now considers like as if there were only a single player in the game.
Okay, right.
But there will be more than a single player, so target prioritization will become a little bit of a challenge for me.
Right. So with multiplayer, so the general recommendation that I have with multiplayer behavior designer is are you guys using, are you peer-to-peer or are you, I guess you can do either with me. Are you peer-to-peer or are you server authoritative?
It's peer-to-peer.
Peer-to-peer. Okay. So
but we can also use dedicated servers as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
But it's not an authoritative server.
Oh, okay. So for the dedicated server, then you would have the behavior tree agent running on the server and then kind of syncing the results with the clients. Is that from your understanding? Is that how it works, or is that on the programmer side?
We didn't come there yet,
Okay.
but might be using that one. I didn't know that.
Okay.
But I will check that out.
Okay. Yeah. In general, for behavior designer, in general, you don't need to sync the actual behavior trees, and instead what you do is you have the behavior tree run on the server, and then you sync the results to all the clients. So if, for example, the behavior tree says to play this animation, well, then you just have to sync that new animation parameter or state or whatever with the clients rather than syncing the state of the behavior tree.
We will probably share the animation state only because I mean we don't need to run the behavior on the okay, I don't know. We do, but it seems like we don't need to run the behavior on the server side. I mean, everyone can run their behavior and share the.
Well, you're going to need to run it.
I'm not really sure about it.
Yeah, you're just going to need to run it on one instance, just so that if client A doesn't have, or so client A doesn't have different results from client B, and say there's a random value, well, those random values won't always be the same. So your behavior tree will then end up being different. So you will need to run the behavior tree instance just on one client or server, and then sync the results with everything else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, but yeah, if you guys have any problems with that or questions with that, just let me know. Post on the forum, and there's some good resources.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. We will see that.
Yeah. It's definitely a challenge. Multiplayer is always a pain. So and then you were mentioning the road system. Are you using an asset for the road system, or it sounded like you guys are implementing it yourself?
Road system.
Or the spline, is that what you're saying? Terrain. You said there were two issues. The second.
World generation and multiplayer. I said
word generation
is like
procedural. Okay, I heard road generation. Okay, word generation.
Yeah, we will have later on some road generations as well.
Okay.
As a subtask of world generation, but we didn't think much about that.
Right.
We currently generating the islands and resources on those islands.
Okay. Yeah.
And I mean, we're trying to open some chunks and offload some chunks to optimize everything. You know, I mean, because we can't leave everything open.
Right.
It will have a huge load.
Right. Yeah. So with world generated, every world is procedurally generated then?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that could. I mean, that adds a lot of possibilities, but I could see it being a challenge.
Yeah, we have some structs within the world generation. Like there are some cities and some player-made constructs, like the player base, etc. But other than that, I mean, the world itself is fully procedurally generated.
Okay. Oh, that's really neat. Cool. So I think. Let me see. Oh, what other assets are you guys using besides Behavior Designer?
Not long after we started using Behavior Designer for the project, we also included A-Star to the project.
Okay. Yep.
We started with the Unity navigation system, and then we switched to A-Star later on, and then we had to. Actually, Behavior Designer tasks were running with on the XY plane, and we have to switch them all to the XZ plane as we started the project like that. And then we had the same problem with the A-Star assets as well. So it took us a little bit of time to switch all of them. But other than that, we're kind of happy with A-Star as well in the project. We're using Odin Inspector.
Okay, right.
And not much else, I think.
Yeah.
These are all the helpful tools we're using.
Yeah, and with A-Star, they recently pushed out a new version that has entity dot support. So if you guys haven't updated it, it would be worth at least looking at to see if you can update it. For me, it was easy to update to it's version 5 now, and you just get that performance benefit from right there. And there wasn't any major breaking changes, at least from my quick tests. So just something to look at.
I'm a little bit afraid of updating things in the
Yeah.
project as they can crash a lot of things.
Right. Right.
Because I mean, there are some things, there are some connections you're making with
Yeah.
the existing code,
Yeah.
and then when you update some of these tools, they might crash your
Right.
project.
Oh
But
yeah.
we
I
might
guess you
try on
guys
a
also.
different branch and
Right.
see if it works or not.
Yeah, but I guess you guys also changed the plane that it works in, so that would be a major update. Never mind.
Okay.
I'm curious.
I
What?
tried using a formation
Yeah.
and tactical package
Yeah.
from Opsive
Yeah.
for behavior designer, and they were quite interesting packages.
Yeah.
I made a couple of animals that are going in formations like this, but then after some update we made to the game, I don't know what was the logic. They were all broken,
Okay.
and I couldn't fix them later on.
Okay.
I had
Okay.
to go back at them at some point.
Yeah. 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 So I'm curious. What version of Behavior Designer are you running? Go.
I don't know.
I'm gonna
Let
put
us
you on the
check it.
spot. Under Tools, then Behavior
Under
Designer.
tools.
Tools, Behavior Designer. Welcome screen. And
Okay, here.
version. Oh, you're not bad out of date. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
you're not bad. You're not bad. So kind of, I didn't even mean for this to be a segue, but in the next version of Behavior Designer, the Dots version, which is going to be completely different, so you probably will not want to upgrade. But what would you like to see in a version 2 of Behavior Designer? What is missing in Behavior Designer for your workflow?
Like the next update for behavior designer, or you're asking for the new version, like the behavior designer 2, you
The
mean you
Behavior
mean?
Designer 2,
Okay.
where I can make
Uh,
any breaking change and I can say it's not my fault.
One of the functionality that I'm not really happy with is that I can't zoom enough in the
Okay.
screen.
Okay. Oh,
Because
I can make that
I mean,
change. Yeah. Okay. I'll
I
change that right now.
I have some uh, I have some huge trees for bosses, for example.
Yeah.
Let me show you one of those bosses, for example. Um, what was Ant Queen? Yeah. It's not the prefab, I guess. Wait. Okay, here is the behavior tree. Okay, check this out, for example. No,
And then there
no,
are
it's not.
external.
No,
There
no,
are
no. It's the
references.
teaser version. It's not the real version.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, let me open the prefab. Here you go.
Oh. Oh.
This is
Okay. Okay.
this is a crazy tree.
Okay. Okay. Um.
I need to zoom out more.
Yeah. Okay. So no, that's going to be a version 2 change. No, no. I have just changed the constant, so now you can zoom out by 100 times more than what you currently can.
Okay, cool.
So
I mean, I really don't need to be able to read this stuff, but
yeah.
I just need to know where I am at
Okay.
least.
Okay. I will send you this change right now, so you don't have to wait for the next update, since we just released a Behavior Designer update. But you will have to update Behavior Designer to the latest version in order to get it. But you're only like 3 versions behind, so it shouldn't be a big deal.
Okay, and one other thing is to be able to reference behavior trees itself. Under a reference tree, I would like to be able to reference other uh, reference trees. So
So can you give me an example?
does
Like,
it mean anything to you?
no, like,
Wait, let me show you something. Let me show you Fox, for example. Has these hunting behaviors. Okay.
so this is within the behavior tree reference test then?
Yes, I will show you in a while. If I can find, yeah, here.
Okay.
Hungry mode opens the hunting behavior.
Right.
And here I'm referencing the predator hunting behavior. Under that predator hunting behavior, I might have different hunting behaviors.
Okay.
So I would like to be able to, here in the root foxm behavior, I would like to be able to reference, I would like to be able to call the necessary subtree, sub behavior for the predator hunting behavior I'm calling here.
Right. Because so basically what shared behavior tree variable?
Yes, probably. Is it possible to do it?
I'm not sure.
Existing?
It may be possible. I've never created a shared behavior tree variable, but it may actually be possible in the current version.
So for example, here it's on the sub behavior I'm calling the hunting behavior is calling another subtree here, for example.
Right.
You see? But I might be able, I want to be able to change this for the fox.
So
on
so
top. So I want to
change that value.
Change this reference tree
on the top level.
The root.
So what you can do right now that I know for 100% works is you can make that behavior tree reference. You can create a new task that is a subclass of that behavior tree reference. And then there is a method called get external behaviors. You can return any sort of variable. You can return any external behavior tree from that. So that would allow you to do what you're trying to do right now without necessarily needing a shared behavior tree, shared variable.
Okay. Is there any documentation?
There is. Yes, there is documentation. Yes, and I'll send it to you. But yes, there is. I think there may be a. I don't know if we have a sample scene with that or not. But I know actually our character controller. No, we don't even. Maybe the Deathmatch AI kit does it, but that's a 3D, not your use case. Yeah, so it is. I'll send you the link, and we'll see if it works for your situation. Yeah.
Cool. Other than that, it would be really great to have a little bit more documentation general for behavior designer. Actually, it was one of the reasons I chose behavior designer over some other tools like, is it okay? I'm mentioning some of the other stuff.
Is that the one?
Yeah. Node Canvas, yeah. I was comparing Node Canvas to a behavior designer, and I couldn't find many documentation for Node Canvas, so that was one of the reasons I chose behavior designer. But even for behavior designer, you can have a little bit more documentation. That would be great.
Documentation on the behavior tree mechanics itself, or the behavior designer functions?
Both, I guess.
Okay.
Both, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Why limit yourself? Yeah. Okay.
I mean, by the way, you have a great community. I mean, I really like the forums. I like the Discord. And Discord is more like for beginners, I guess. But in forums, there are more advanced stuff.
Yes.
So I learned a lot of things on forums, and you're active on forums as well.
Yes.
Once you're replying to questions like within 24 hours or something. That's really great. But for beginners, it would be nice to have some kind of a maybe video tutorials, some documentation, some example projects. You have some of those, but I mean, you can have more, I believe.
Right. Yeah, there's never too much. I've come to find that out. The documentation is definitely easier to maintain compared to videos, but yes. So yeah, for behavior designer 2, the documentation will need to completely change. So I will definitely make a note of that and do as much as I can for that. But no, I mean, in general, your project sounds really ambitious and really cool. Santiago, do you have any questions?
No, I think it's really cool. I had a few little questions that they're not really related to behavior designer, but more about the game itself. You mentioned that they were making
Sure.
the game for online and that the players could build stuff. Um, with
Yeah.
the procedural aspect of the game, is it a thing where you create one world, people join you, and then you have to survive for X amount of time inside that world until you die, and then you have to restart from the start? Or can you keep those worlds once they're generated?
Yeah, you can keep those worlds. I mean, once you have the seed of the world, you can recreate that same world once again without any problem. But also you can save the world in its current state and then play it from there as well. So you're actually saving your characters and the world separately. So you can join to another host with the existing character you're playing on a different player group.
Oh, that's really cool. I like the idea.
So that's kind of the standard stuff for all these co-op open world survival craft games.
Mhm.
I mean, we're not making something unusual here.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. And the other thing I was curious about is if we could have a look a bit at one of your NPC or one of your creatures, the prefab themselves, and how you've organized the game objects and the logic. So let's say, where do you put the art, where do you put the effects, where the logic comes in, etc.
Okay, I might help you a little bit on that. I'm not, I don't know the exact way of working of these entities, but I can show you a little. We have this behavior tree here. We have this animator component here. I'm looking at the root object, by the way. And we have different entity types in the game, and they have this different structures. I mean, this is, for example, a hittable entity, and it drops some stuff on that. And what else? It has a renderer, it has some animation stuff. So different entity types have different, how I would say, different components and other stuff. So this here it's a hitter component that allows the creature to hit the player, and there's this attack data here. So within the attack data, you see if this is a combo attack, we have different stuff here, but this is a single attack. We can whitelist some tags like player and blacklist some tags that we don't want the creature to attack to. We can add some hit effects here, like status effects and other things like knockback, other stuff here. And what else?
So where's the actual sprite located? Is that
Sprite is
it's underneath?
right under
Okay.
somewhere. No, it's a vision trigger.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah. This is fine.
It feels so much neater when it's in 2D compared to 3D. The full skeleton. But yeah, it's really nice to see. It seems very well organized. And I feel like with the quantity of creatures that you want to have, it needs to be very very organized and very simple for every creature to be, in a way that if you make a change, you don't have to remake that change on every single prefab, because that would be a nightmare. So it's great.
Yes, actually, we came up with this structure thing you just mentioned very late in the project. We started everything like on their own. Then okay, that will take a lot of time like this to change something, and then we started to organize them into component and into entity structures. Like we have these entity variants on under each other. So once we change something at the root entity, for example, it applies to every creature type. And some of them are on the troll level, some of them are on the creature level. Yeah, and once you start working on a large project, I believe you end up with a structure like this at the end.
Yeah, you have to. It's either that or it doesn't work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Or,
especially
you're lost in iterations and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So you were saying something, Justin?
No, I was just kind of adding on to Santiago that especially on a team, you need a clear organization structure.
Absolutely, yeah. So my last question would be if you're using prefab variants or if you have chosen to avoid.
Yeah, we're using prefab
Okay.
variants. For example, let me show you one example. NPCs. Yeah. No, this is not here, sorry. Okay, here. We have an NPC parent here with some components here that we can change. From this NPC parent, we have a vampire NPC variant. And under the vampire NPC variant, we have different cultures in the game. I mean, each these races, these factions might have different cultures, and according to that culture, their clothing change, their the class they can adopt can change, and the quest pools also change. So under the vampire variant, we have, for example, love vampire NPC variant. So we have this layers of prefab variant in the game.
Nice, very cool.
Yeah, we have this love city variants of vampires, for example.
Different traits and different visuals. That's nice to see.
Cool. Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you for talking about how you're using Behavior Designer in Good Heavens. It's definitely an interesting project. I've already wish listed it, so I'll be watching.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Good luck on continued development.
And good luck in Behavior Designer too. I hope more people will use it in time. And actually, I would like to ask you a question.
Yeah.
How bigger projects are handling these behavior things? How it is done in a AAA project, for example?
Which aspect?
Are they writing their own behavior trees? Because I can't imagine a world without without using a behavior tree like Behavior Designer.
Well, behavior trees were originally started in the AAA world for Halo 2. That was the first project that actually used a behavior tree, and then they've evolved some since then. The visual editor is just really what makes the behavior tree kind of usable in some sense. If you had, behavior trees are what? It's nothing. If you kind of get down to it, it's nothing but just a bunch of conditional statements, if-else statements. So the behavior tree itself isn't
the core things are probably should be the same for every tool.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. From that regard, it's similar to a state machine, similar to utility theory, similar to whatever. I think that it's really the behavior tree, the visual editor is what really makes it kind of special in that sense. And then for a AAA type game, they would be creating their own tasks pretty much exclusively. They wouldn't use any built-in tasks just to interact with their own API. But they would make extensive use of these external behavior trees, and I've kind of given them a boost in version 2 as well. So yeah, you guys are really kind of following all the good design patterns of behavior trees. I noticed you were using conditional boards. You were one thing you could possibly consider is using the utility selector, which is a. Are you familiar with that task?
Yeah, I've seen that utility selector
Yeah.
in an example. It was yeah. I'm not really sure if it can apply well to our game, but it looks very useful.
Right. Yeah. It completely depends on the situation on whether or not you want to use it or not. But yeah. But no, you guys. I mean, I would look into property mapping sometime in the future as well, just because I mean that use case could exist. But no, you guys are doing all the right things.
Okay, cool. I'm just curious about this larger project, and everyone writing their own editors looks kind of unnecessary to me. Why? Maybe engines, it can be implemented to Unity one day, or maybe.
Well, yeah, I mean, Unreal has their own behavior tree editor built in. So
I didn't know that, for example.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. So Unreal, Behavior Designer will never come to Unreal just for that reason, is that there's no point. There's already a behavior tree editor in there. So Unity is working on something called Muse Behavior, which they sort of tied it to their AI generative stuff. But I'm not too concerned about that project in competition with Behavior Designer. Just behaviors, their implementation isn't a true behavior tree either. They kind of took a mixed approach between behavior trees and state machines. It's kind of interesting. It's worth looking at just to see what they're doing, but it's definitely not mature or anything like that either. So then they're also not using dots, which in Behavior Designer 2, yeah, the big selling point is using dots, where even a project that is not using dots will be able to use Behavior Designer and get the advantage of using dots for version 2.
Did you ever get in touch with Unity because they acquired some tools in the past like this?
They did. They never contacted us. I think Behavior Designer is, I mean, Behavior Designer does well on the asset store, and so it makes Unity a decent change, a chunk of change. So I mean, I have no idea the reason why or why not, but no, they never contacted us, and unless they offered a really extremely good value, I would not have taken them up on their offer anyway.
And my last question, if you want to reply, of course, answer, of course. What's your best-selling tool? Is it Ultimate Character Control or Behavior Designer?
From a pure numbers perspective, Behavior Designer is our best-selling tool. It makes, I don't know, maybe 40 to 50% of our revenue in total. Ultimate Character Controller sells less overall compared to Behavior Designer, but it has a higher it has a higher price point, so that's where it kind of makes up for it. The next version of Behavior Designer, version 2, I'm definitely increasing the price some. I think all assets on the asset store are too cheap for what they are. And especially, I mean, Behavior Designer hasn't had a price increase in a couple of years now, and there's inflation and all that, so it's time. And then also with all these new features, so yeah. But from a pure numbers perspective, Behavior Designer is our best-selling asset.
Cool. I mean, I used Ultimate Character Controller. It's an excellent tool, but it has its own use cases. For example, in a 2D game, I wouldn't use Ultimate Character Controller. Why would I use it? But I can't think of a game I wouldn't use Behavior Designer.
I mean, that I think is one of the reasons why it does so well, is that it can be used in 2D, 3D, AR, VR, whatever, a mobile console, whatever type of game you can really think of. As long as there is some sort of an AI in place, then yeah, it can be used. I've even seen Behavior Designer used for non-AI situations, like I think like managing scene transitions and stuff like that. Like, okay, that's an interesting use case, but yeah, I guess you can do it, but that's not what it's designed for. But sure, if it works for you. And then like I think sound management was another one that I saw that was not a normal one. It's like, yeah, okay. So yeah, Behavior Designer is definitely kind of our most versatile tool, which is part of the reason why I think it sells the best out of everything.
Yeah, I'm suggesting to everyone. I mean, I'm telling them to start using it and thank me later.
And thank you now. Yeah, so thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for inviting me. It was a nice chat.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I'm going to do a little kind of recap of what I've worked on with Behavior Designer 2. You can stick around or you can leave if you have time, or if you want to see it, it'll probably be another 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay, I think I'm going to leave,
Okay.
but I'll watch the rest
Yeah, oh yeah.
when you upload it on YouTube.
Yeah, no worries. All right, well, good chatting to you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Okay, see you around. Bye-bye.
All right, take care. All right, let me go ahead and switch to source now. I think we have an empty spot. Yeah. So I'm using OBS to do this recording, which generally works, but I've had to keep rearranging the screen. You'll see on YouTube where everybody's screen gets resized, and I have no idea why it's doing that. So I just resized some things, but we're back now. Okay. So with version 2 of Behavior Designer, I haven't given a proper update in a while. But let me go ahead and share my screen to kind of show where we're currently at with it. It's going pretty well. Let's screen. I want to share the screen. All right. And let me just make sure we are displayed. Yep. Okay, it looks like I'm no longer displayed. Oh, I'm tiny. Yeah, see, it just keeps getting resized. I got to figure that out. All right, so here is Behavior Designer 2 again. Since the last time I really showed Behavior Designer, I think I had just kind of revamped the subtree system where external trees are now called subtrees, and you can now call one method to reevaluate the overridden subtrees instead of having to restart the entire tree, and that's been kind of a popular topic, I think, and I think a lot of people will make use of that. Recently, though, we were actually talking about property mappings, and one of the things that I had recently changed is, let me go to my property mappings unit test, which I think is under variables, shared variables, I think. So here's this property mapping window now. It's a much nicer window than what was in, or much nicer display than what was in version 1 of Behavior Designer. And we can also now map a property to a scriptable object. So that means, like, if you have a global variable, you can use property mappings, whereas in version 1 you were not able to. So here's a scriptable object that I have. It has an int value of 1. You can see the code right here, but it has a property called myInt where it just gets and returns that myInt value. And now within Behavior Designer, when you are referencing this variable right here, so when I reference this myInt variable, it will go to that scriptable object and find the myInt binding and then return that value. So that's kind of a new useful little enhancement to the property mapping system. Then recently I've been working on the editor again, I added a lock button. There's still a ton of UI changes that I need to make or improvements. And then also starting to work on the error detection. I probably have another week or two to go with the editor improvements, and then it's just creating new tasks, and then I'll be ready to kind of get Behavior Designer out. So we're getting closer with Behavior Designer, and I'm excited.
That's really cool. For the release, what kind of demos are you thinking about? Are you thinking about releasing first just the tool and then make the demos later, or?
So the release we're going to do kind of a stage release where I think we did this with inventory and Ultimate Character Controller as well, but we'll first release it on the Opsive store. I'm thinking maybe September timeframe. August, September timeframe, release it on the Opsive store, see how well that goes and all that type of stuff. I won't be 100% done with all the tutorials and all that, but then when we release on the asset store, we will have documentation done, we'll have videos done, we'll have all the sample scenes done. But no, Sarah's going to be working on creating brand new sample scenes and having a wide variety of sample scenes with that as well. And I think Atlas will be making a return in some of these sample scenes. So yeah, it'll be a proper update with new sample scenes.
Very nice, very nice.
And we'll also have integration. A lot of the popular integrations we'll make sure we have. I mean, inventory will definitely be one of those that we include on probably day zero, even before Behavior Designer is out on the Opsive store. Make sure we'll hit the big ones like inventory, character controller, A-star, and probably just the movement pack I'll update before the release on the asset store. Formations and the tactical pack, I want to do some other improvements to before I actually release, and that's going to be a total redesign, whereas the movement pack is well structured. So movement pack will be easier to release a new version of compared to the other one. So I'll probably just release movement pack first.
Nice.
But yeah, definitely all the popular integrations first. I think dialogue system and yeah, just kind of we'll get it. We'll make sure we hit everything when we do the asset store release. So I am not time pressured to do the asset store release. I want to release it when it's working really well for everyone. The Opsive store will release as soon as, I don't know, I would call it a late kind of a pre-release version. Yeah. Early access, whatever you want to call it, past beta, it's past beta, yeah, but not quite fully released. So yeah, early access, pre-release version. And if you purchased on the asset store, but you want to get it early on the Opsive store, whatever upgrade discount, you'll probably just have to email me or whatever, but you'll be able to get the upgrade discount as well. You will not then be able to purchase it on the asset store. So if you like to keep everything on the asset store, I would wait till the asset store release. If you don't care as much and you want to reduce the amount of cut that Unity gets, or you want to increase the cut that we get, you can purchase on the Opsive store, and I thank you. And if you purchase a bundle or inventory or character controller, yeah, we all thank you for purchasing on the Opsive store instead of the asset store.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. So I think this was our longest episode yet. Thank you, Santiago, for being here. I know you're deep in debugging on other issues right now, so
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, cool. So yeah. Thank you, everyone. And I think the next episode we will be doing. I got to confirm, but I think we have a pretty exciting guest coming on for the next episode. I don't want to say his name quite yet, but I think a lot of people in the community will already be familiar with him. So yeah, looking forward to the next one.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. Well, cool.